March 1825, Puerto Rico. The island breathes fire and blood. The wind howls like a warning, and the sea boils against the black cliffs at Boca de Inferno. Through the smoke glimpses a battered vessel, her sail in ruins, her mast splintered, her hull leaks of gunpowder and defiance. She's been hunted for days, maybe weeks, and she's out of places to run. Then, from the shadows, the Spanish militia hit the sand, muskets raised, boots churning up, blood-warm surf. On the ridge above, hidden under the cargo netting, American Marines lie prone with rifles trained. The trap is perfect. Their orders? No prisoners. Below deck, it's dead quiet. 10 men whisper their last prayers. One kisses a wooden crucifix. Another ties a blood-stained sash around his waist. Then, Cofresí appears. He limps forward, shirtless, sunburnt, and slick with blood. His right arm dangles useless, torn open by grape shot. But his eyes are steel. He bites down on a paper cartridge, pours powder, rams it home with one hand into his flintlock. He doesn't flinch, doesn't breathe heavy. He's done it 100 times before, but not like this. And then, the muskets erupt. Gunfire cracks from the ridge. A cannonball screams down and slams into the boat's bow. Timbers shatter, men scream, the ship lurches sideways. Splinters become shrapnel. Blood hits the deck. A sailor takes a bullet to the throat. Another is blown backwards into the mast. The air is smoke and iron. Cofresí stands his ground. "Hold the line!" he roars, his voice slicing through chaos. He raises his pistol, fires, drops the Spaniard crawling over the gunwale, then draws his cutlass with his good hand and meets a bayonet mid-charge. They fight like cornered wolves. Cutlasses ring against steel, pistols flash, teeth grit, men fall. Cofresí hit again, shoulder this time, but he doesn't stop. He kicks a Marine off the railing, blood streaking off his chest, face burning with fury. But it's too many, too fast. One by one, his crew are cut down. 4 lie dead before him. And when the last shot is fired, his vessel lies in the water like a dying beast. Cofresí throws down his empty pistol and orders his remaining 10 men to leap overboard. A Marine shouts, "He's overboard!" By the time they reach the railing, the sea is empty. They thought they'd be dead in the water, but legends don't drown. They crawl out of the surf when the moon is high and the tide favors the brave. Before the noose, before the legend, there was the man, defiant, wounded, but unbroken. I am Dairen Castro Torres, the genealogist, and this is the story of Roberto Cofresí, pirate of the people. Before he was a pirate, he was just a boy staring at the sea. Roberto Cofresí, baptized June 26, 1791, Cabo Rojo, Puerto Rico. He was the son of Don Francisco Cofresí, an Italian immigrant, and Doña Maria Hermana Ramirez de Arellano, with Criollo blood descended from the first Spanish conquistadors of Puerto Rico. By age 4, Roberto lost his mother. By 7, he'd seen men starve while Spain taxed the fish off their lines. Ships sailed full, but not for Cabo Rojo. He was raised by a man with one foot in Europe and another in exile, Don Francisco Cofresí, the foreigner who never quite belonged. Spain taxed the poor and protected the rich. Pirates raided the coast, and the king looked the other way, unless you were worth something. He did not inherit land, he inherited bravery and leadership. But the sea had no gatekeepers, only wind, risk, and freedom. He married on January 14th, 1815 to Juana Critov, an immigrant from Curaçao. They shared 3 children, 2 died in infancy. Only his daughter, Maria Bernardina, lived, and hunger became part of the family. But the sea asked for nothing but courage, and it gave him something the land never could: freedom. By 1823, the mainland changed. Simón Bolívar liberated many formerly Spanish countries, but Puerto Rico remained part of the empire. Privateering had once fed the brave like Cofresí, but now the scheme has run its course. No war, no purpose. Cofresí saw idle ships, empty docks, a world with no war, no prize, no purpose. He watched some men grow rich, men who had never sailed through gunfire. He watched them bribe their way through hunger, and he watched children drink boiled seawater to feel full. He returned home to a bowl of rice and a crying child. He clenched his fist. He said nothing. But that night, he laid out a plan. No flag, no king. This is for the people. As he considered a life of piracy, somewhere deep in his gut, he knew the irony that his second great-grandfather, Antonio Ramirez de Arellano, had once earned royal honors for hunting pirates. And now, the crown would call him a pirate. Cofresí, pirate of the poor, storm on the horizon, outlaw by necessity, legend by morning. March 1824, waters between Mona and Culebra. The Mona Passage was no stranger to storms, but this was something worse. The Bonneton, a British vessel bound from Trinidad to Gibraltar, creaked along its current. Its hold full of cocoa and cargo, her crew relaxed under the calm sky. Nearby, the Bonnie Sophie, a French vessel destined for Martinique, trailed close behind, her decks freshly scrubbed, her captain sipping wine at the helm. Neither ship has seen another vessel for days, but the wind shifted. The sea went still. And then, a flicker, a shadow. A black and white hull appeared on the horizon, gliding low in the water like a hunting shark. Black flag, no signal, no mercy. It was Cofresí. His boat streaked with salt and cannon scars, sliced through the waves with terrifying speed. A 6-pounder swivel cannon braced on the bow. 20 men on deck, Puerto Rican men, bandanas drawn, machetes unsheathed, muskets loaded. Impact. The pirate struck first. A thunderous blast from the swivel gun shattered the Bonneton's rigging. Sails dropped. Before the crew could react, grappling hooks clinged against the rail. Pirates vaulted on board. Captain Alexander Murdoch reached for his sword, but found steel at his throat. Below deck, sailors scrambled to defend the hold. Too late. Barrels burst. Cocoa spilled. The pirates moved fast, beating down resistance and binding the crew with thick rope. A mile behind, the Bonnie Sophie saw the smoke and tried to sail away, but the sea had already chosen. Cofresí's boat turned like a hawk on the wind. Within minutes, his men were climbing the sides of the French brig. There was no fight, only fear. The Bonnie Sophie surrendered without a shot. Captain Shivanshi begged for clemency. He received silence. Below deck, the hold was stripped. Crates of cloth, instruments, wine, all taken. Passengers were thrown from their hammocks and roughed up. Gold buttons ripped from jackets, rings pried from hands. Then, silence. Cofresí left them alive, bruised and humiliated. He transferred his crew to the Bonneton's lifeboat, lashed both ships together in the shallows, and slipped away into the mangroves, gone before the mast swayed. By the time the sun reached its peak, the sea was calm once more. The only signs of the raid, torn sails, empty holds, and shaken men who had no idea what just hit them. The crown called it piracy, but to the sea, it was balance restored. June 9th, 1824, off the coast of Puerto Rico. The San Jose de las Animas cut through rough waters. Its captain, Francisco Ocasio, its hull weighed down with rum, tobacco, fine cloth, and a chest of silver bound for Curaçao. The Matai brothers, Felix and Miguel, paced the deck, their boots dry, their bellies full. The storm on the horizon didn't concern them. They had papers, they had protection, they had the crown. But on this stormy day, it wasn't lightning they should have feared. Just past midnight, from the black swells of the sea, a low vessel emerged, silent, shadow-colored, brandishing a black flag with the face of death in the middle. Cofresí's vessel, fast and nimble, slid alongside with the precision of a shark. Not a bell rang, not a shout was heard. Then, the crack of grappling hooks, steel bit into wood. Pirates swarmed the deck like ghosts from the storm. Faces masked in cloth, cutlasses shining. The captain barely had time to raise his musket before Cofresí himself vaulted the rail, wet boots hitting the planks with a thud. His hair clung to his brow, his coat soaked through, but his eyes burned with command. "Hold," he shouted. "We're here for booty, not bodies." His men fanned out. Crates were smashed open. Barrels of salted meat, sacks of grain, bottles of medicine and oil. One pirate tossed aside a bolt of silk. Another cracked open a cask of rum and sniffed it, shaking his head. Felix Mati held out the ship's manifest with trembling hand. Miguel backed away, whispering prayers. "This cargo," Cofresí declared, lifting a bottle, "belongs to the people now." No one dared argue. A young crewman asked, "What do we do with the rest, Captain?" Cofresí scanned the deck without hesitation. "Feed the widows. Burn nothing." By sunrise, the San Jose de las Animas floated quietly near the coast, stripped but still intact. Smoke curled from her galley where the pirates cooked one last meal before vanishing into the sea. In Cabo Rojo, crates of flour and candles showed up on doorsteps. Mothers found bottles of medicine by their windows. Bread, still warm, was reserved for the people. And in every market, in every tavern, the whispers spread like wildfire. The coast belongs to the people. June 13, 1824, from Cabo Rojo, the Spanish crown issued orders. Capture Roberto Cofresí, dead or alive. They sent men of the militia, men of the coast. Some were neighbors, some may have known him since childhood. But now, they were hunters, sent to bring down a man born on the same land that they walked. They thought they were chasing a pirate, but what they were chasing was a legend. March 1825, waters off Puerto Rico's southern coast. The wind was high, the sea restless, but Cofresí's eyes were sharper. He stood at the helm of his battered ship riding low in the water. Her sails were patched with old sugar sacks, her hull scarred from 100 escapes. 15 men crewed her, sailors, smugglers, sons of the sea, Puerto Rican, Antillean, Afro-Caribbean, all ready to bleed. Ahead, a schooner drifted awkwardly, too slow for the wind, its rigging loose, no flag flying. A ghost ship, they thought, but Cofresí smelled it. The air was wrong. "She doesn't sail right," he muttered. Then, all hell broke loose. Boom! From hidden ports, iron thunder burst. A broadside of grape shot and fire. A trap had been sprung. The silent schooner was no merchant ship. It was bait, gifted by the Americans, rigged by Captain Sloat of the USS Grampus. The first volley shredded the rail, tore into the mast, and sent 2 men screaming into the sea. A second blast ripped through the powder chest. Smoke engulfed the deck, screams mixed with splinters and blood. Chaos. Cofresí, wounded, slashed the boarding lines as enemies tried to climb on board. He barked orders, dragged the crewmen to cover, fired his pistol into the smoke, then drew his cutlass and fought his way to the edge. Some of his men dove, bullets snapping past their ears. Others fought to the last, bayonets clashing, blades catching the muscle and bone. In minutes, the deck was soaked in blood. 4 lay dead, the rest soaked, gasping, dragging themselves into the dark water, letting the current carry them to the shore, not to escape, to survive. They washed up on the black volcanic cliffs of Boca de Inferno, the mouth of hell, where there was no mercy waiting. The militia surrounded them, muskets cocked, machetes drawn, no warnings. One pirate rose and was shot back down. Cofresí, bloodied, limping, was taken into custody. His wrists were clamped in irons. A soldier struck him in the face. He spat back, blood mixing with salt and sand. Cofresí was ambushed trying to flee. He was shot with a blunderbuss and beaten with sticks until he collapsed. Captain Sloat visited with Cofresí, who informed him that he would be willing to make important disclosures to the authorities of Puerto Rico, provided a pardon was granted. He acknowledged that he and his gang murdered upwards of 400 persons, men of different nations, the pirate captain said, and much consolation was afforded to him by the reflection that among the 400 persons murdered, not one of them were Puerto Rican. His pardon was denied. Doctors said he may not survive. The mayor reported the injuries to the governor. Meanwhile, 25 militiamen stood guard in the town square to keep him from escaping or from being rescued. The entire south coast burned with tension. They dragged him north to El Morro, to a cell made out of stone and silence. But he walked upright. He did not beg, and when they asked his name, he answered, Capitán Roberto Cofresí. They captured a man, but they chained a legend. San Juan, Puerto Rico, March 29th, 1825, 8 a.m. The sun rose red over San Juan, casting long shadows over El Morro's stone walls. The air hung thick with salt and judgment. Inside the courtyard, behind the barracks, the gallows stood ready. 11 ropes swayed gently in the morning breeze, creaking like whispers from the dead. Drums rolled, muskets stood in formation, and behind the fortress gates, a silent crowd pressed in. Dock workers, widows, barefoot children, watching, waiting. Then, the door opened. 11 men emerged, gaunt, shackled, marked by salt sores and hunger. Some limped, others clenched fists, jaws set like stone. At the front walked Roberto Cofresí, his sash bloodstained, his shirt torn, a swollen bruise darkened one eye. His hands were bound, but his spine was straight, chin held high. They offered him a blindfold. He spat at their feet. I die as I lived, he said, loud enough for the soldiers and the people to hear. Free. A hush fell over the courtyard. Even the sea seemed to hold its breath. One soldier trembled, his musket rattling. Another muttered a prayer beneath his breath. An officer barked, "Do your duty." The platform creaked as the condemned were led into place. One by one, the nooses were drawn tight. Cofresí looked to the sea, not for salvation, but for peace. And then, drop. Wood snapped, rope snapped tight. 11 bodies jerked in the air, legs kicked, then stilled. A crow screeched overhead. The following men were hanged on the gallows that morning. Roberto Cofresí, born in Cabo Rojo, legitimate son of Francisco and Maria Hermana Ramirez de Arellano, husband of Juana Critov, 33 years old. Manuel Aponte, alias Monteverde, born in Añasco, legitimate son of Miguel and Maria Josefa Boleona, 30 years old. Vicente del Valle Carvajal, born at sea and baptized in Santiago de Cuba, legitimate son of Vicente and Catalina Carvajal, 23 years old. Vicente Jimenez, born in Cumaná, legitimate son of Juan Jose David and Agueda Gonzalez, 19 years old. Antonio Delgado, born in Humacao, legitimate son of Lino and Marcelena Figueroa, 27 years old. Victoriano Saldaña, born in Juncos, legitimate son of Juan and Juana de Sierra, husband of Maria del Carmen Garay, 30 years old. Agustín de Soto, born in San Germán, legitimate son of Bernardo and Ana Gonzalez, 27 years old. Carlos Diaz, born in Trinidad, slave of Juan Francisco Diaz, son of Jose Jorge and Maria de la Concepcion, 28 years old. Carlos de Torres, born in Fajardo, son of Teodoro Asensio and Juana Francesca de Torres, 26 years old. Juan Manuel Fuentes, alias Venado, born in Havana, Cuba, legitimate son of Juan and Josefa Rodriguez, 26 years old. Jose Rodriguez, born in Curaçao, son of Jose Maria and Juana Maria de Soto, 25 years old. Not a single cheer rang out. In the crowd, a mother clutched her child tighter. A fisherman lowered his head. A young boy blinked through tears, never forgetting what he saw. The empire had taken their lives, but it could not take their legend, because legends don't die at the end of a rope. That's where they begin. His daughter never spoke of the gallows. Maria Bernardina Cofresí, his only surviving child, grew up in silence beneath a name whispered like a curse and a prayer. In 1839, she married Jose Asensio and birthed 9 children who would bear the blood and the burden of Roberto Cofresí. His legend did not die in the sand of El Morro. It lived in bloodlines, in lullabies, in taverns, and whispers. A genealogist can now trace what silence once buried. The shadow of a pirate still moves through Puerto Rican blood. Legend has it that Cofresí never gave up the location of his greatest haul, that somewhere deep in the mountains of Guayanilla, past the ceiba trees and forgotten trails, he buried the last of his treasure, gold, silver, and secrets stolen from empires. And they say it's still there, guarded, not by locks, not by chains, but by the restless ghosts of his crew, sailors who swore to protect it even in death. So if you ever find yourself on the hills of Barrio Macana and the wind starts to whisper, run. Some legends are not meant to be found.